Welcome, my friends. This is Maniacal Incorporated, slowly but surely realizing that if I had been a bit more aggressive, Queen Morgan could probably have conquered all of Canada in the last episode, if not even earlier. I've been a bit worried that with her advancing age, that if we were to push too far, take too much territory, that it would end up splitting the empire on her death. Well, she's 78 and her health is fine for now. We're going to have to continue where we left off in the last episode, and that is getting some land for our grandson Eric. Eric II, we conquered his land way to the south of our own in Newfoundland. So we've conquered his land down here because he wouldn't form an alliance with us, and that is going to give us a springboard into Ontario. But the first thing we're going to do is wrap up this land here, because if we take Ontario, then he'll become part of this kingdom. So we'll give him a duchy. Count Eric's claims. God damn it, that's expensive in terms of prestige. Now, we almost made a terrible mistake, and indeed we've lost Finlay Lonergan. Rose the armies a bit too close to Ottawa's borders, and they were able to send in some troops when I think I had 800 raised. They had about 1,500. They sent them in, and then suddenly we had 3,500. It was almost a terrible mistake, but we've managed to sort everything out. We try and find the siege engineers, and we send them in. And Queen Morgan has had an extensive life. Like I said, I'm quite surprised that she's lived into her late 70s, heading towards her 80s. She has lost another spouse. Her husband, Claude, passed away, I think, on the last episode. Now, her lover, who she married, Althea, her court physician, a very good court physician, has also died. I think she's out of lovers to marry. And we're also out of good court physicians. Here's a random courtier who'll do a better job than anybody else. But I am also reminded by the fact that we're now over our domain limit that I haven't reappointed a court groundhog keeper, which will give us a bit of a stewardship bonus. So do you know what? Blanche, our granddaughter. Now, the siege is taking a lengthy time to conduct. We've received two big updates, however. First of all, the Holy Order wants another city. I'm going to give them that. King Andre of Quebec has died. So that is going to severely weaken Quebec, and that could possibly, if we ever finish the siege, be our next target. With the overwhelming forces that we have in there, I think we're going to have to assault the fort to try and get this done. That only took all day. With all the money that we've just gotten together from selling some land to the Holy Order, I'm going to put that into a couple of different things. Some of it is going, well, I think double what we got from them is going to go into the Sacred Fishery to build a monastery school. That's going to increase the convert faith in county ability of our court chaplains, because we have a lot of regions to convert. We're going to spend some prestige in the desperate hope of getting some prestige by holding a court for the first time in a very long time. Somebody wants us to press their claim. Now, this is a claim on a neighbouring region to the one that we just conquered. It actually neighbours that of our grandson, Eric II. So what I might do is try and organise a marriage between the two of them, and then conquer this region. We do have the ability to gain back some prestige by not interfering in the affairs of our courtiers. So the Duke of Notre Dame is trying to take back a region that's controlled by a very powerful vassal. So I think we'll not interfere in such things. And finally, we have some ecumenical matters. Our court chaplain is trying to convince us to hand Sydney's Grand Temple over to the Fisher King and to have it administered by shamans. Now, I would usually go with that. It would give us a chunk of piety. It would give us a statue of the sacred cod, and Hugh Hillard would become the theocratic ruler of the chiefdom of Sydney. However, because of our high learning, we have a 100% chance to run rings around them and get 150 prestige, which I actually badly need at the moment. So we've convinced them to leave Sydney under the direct control of the monarchy. My business here is done. House NaGeira is also in the position to consecrate the bloodline. There is a big tree with lots of people around it. We gain a legend seed. We gain the trait Paragon. I don't think we have a lot of zealot vassals. The fervor of Grove of Fog Songs increases and we get 500 dynasty renown. We will perform the final rites. We have a ton of piety and we're generating a ton more. So Fisher King Archibald has officially recognized my family's contributions and consecrated our name as eternal defenders of the Fog Song faith. Our grandson Robert is holding another great rite, so we're going to head down to that. That's absolutely fantastic for getting additional traits. So we're going to head down to that, and then head for the new ruler of Quebec to see their court. And I'm quite surprised, like I've said, at Morgan's longevity. We've gotten a new lifestyle learning perk, and I have just taken healthy for a medium health boost. So there you go, 79 and feeling fine. The grand rite at our grandson's court is coming to an end. We have the option to share some carnal gifts with someone of a similar urge. I thought it was someone of a similar age. What we'll do instead is ask Robert to instruct us in the art of commerce and unlock a stewardship lifestyle perk. So the grand rite is absolutely fantastic for basically gaining perks in, I think, the same area of expertise as the person holding the rite. So getting more of our family members who are witches into positions of power, that's going to be instrumental going forward. May the little fellas watch over us until the next grand rite. So we don't really have much that we need in the commerce region, but it's always good to take something. We could actually get courtier opinion. I don't think we really need that. To collect tax effectiveness, I'm not actually doing that a whole heap. Building construction, we're also not doing that a whole heap. So do you know what? Yeah, we'll take the tax office. We're badly caught for prestige at the moment, but while we're trying to get some of it together, I will attack this kingdom for the vassal that we just got, that just joined our court. Our grandson is actually already married, so we won't be able to form an alliance there, but she will become his vassal eventually. So we've brought the full weight of our army in. This should be a fairly quick battle. There you go. So we've managed to take the Stormont Dundas Glengarry War Banner. We'll add it to our collection. We don't have any space for it. I might give it out to Eric as a bit of a present. And what bad timing. Just as I was sending out some raiders to try and get some money together. Well, not money, but prestige. We're fine for money. Prestige is the problem. We have some dangerous factions giving out to us. A peasant's lot is to serve their lord. So it's a tiny rebellion just outside the capital. I stood down the army, which means it's going to take them 5 or 6 months to return. Instead of bringing them up, I think it was pretty much the same difference. And we've returned home. Thanks, Brother Jack. And it looks like they're actually going to take control of this region before we manage to get our forces fully raised. So we have vastly more troops than them, but we can't get them in there. And instead of sieging down that area, now that we've actually gotten an army together, we'll send them in. You've achieved absolutely nothing, only delaying me from conquering Canada. Thanks. In a desperate bid for something good, especially divine guidance, we're going to commune with Brother Jack. And we have 300 learning lifestyle experience. We've gotten that divine guidance, and we've lost another child. We're getting quite stressed. A couple of our children have died of recent. But who needs children when you have learning lifestyle experience? Now, the problem is that I'm going to complete all 3 of these trees. This is the first time I'll have ever actually done this. But I want to keep that medicine focus for the small boost, so I'm not too sure about actually going anywhere else. First of all, we'll take fitness expert, so we're getting a medium boost and stress gain minus 20% and 20% fertility. Oh yeah. And we could get extra fertility by going for the family focus. I think I'm actually going to have to switch to Majesty for that prestige, because that's holding us back massively at the moment. We are now 81 and feeling strong. So we don't need that small health bonus that we were getting from the actual trait itself, especially as we've gotten healthy, which had a medium boost. I think there's 2 medium boosts in there. So yeah, Morgan is still powering on, but we don't have the prestige to actually push for the conquest of Canada. We've conquered the Duchess of a region, so she's married to the ruling Duke. The Duke will not accept a ransom for her, so let's see if we can recruit her and demand her conversion. She won't convert. What's more important? We get her into the court. And get a weak hook. So she arrives, one of our prisoners leaves, and we receive the terrible news that our spy master, Neil the Wolf of Notre Dame, has drank himself to death. No better way to go. So Eric wants the position. The only problem is that Eric is useless. Do we have any strong vassals? Eric is the best vassal for the position. So we have to kind of keep our strong vassals happy. Do we want to put Eric in there? Go on, we'll assign him to the position. Eric, you're stone useless, but you'd better do a good job. This is a decision that could make or break the kingdom. Our lover, who we can't really marry because it would decimate our diplomacy or our prestige. She's our lover and our court poet, and she's asking us about a distant memory. That was such a great occasion. 57% chance that we gain something beneficial. 43% chance that we lose 150 prestige. And we've managed to hold on to it, because I'm about 40 prestige away from being able to enact the highest level of tribal authority, which will allow us to push for ending, or entering feudalism, I should say. I thought we'd be disappointed with this. Who the hell is this person? One of our many, many rivals. You don't live to be 82, 83 years of age without putting together a lot of lovers, a lot of rivals, and a lot of children, and it's hard to tell the difference. Sometimes the same person has held all 3 positions. We're going to drop some loot off very quickly. Look at the amount of money that we've gotten together. But it's not the money that we're worried about. It is absolute tribal authority. Which again absolutely decimates us in terms of prestige. But we're now just 171 short of converting the realm to kinship. And our tribal holdings will become castle holdings. So there's not great pickings, but we're going to continue around Quebec to pick up as much money as we can, especially as we have some regions close to it, which we can bring our prestige and money back to quickly. And by hang around the north of Quebec, what I actually mean is that we're going to head back across in this direction, because Tiaramara has just come under a new ruler with a very small army. So that's going to give us an extensive territory, an extensive coastal territory to raid down. And as I'm in the process of getting those troops back, we're also bringing a chunk of money in, which should get us up to the 200 just barely. So I'll get these guys across, land them here to start with. And we can take our decision to convert the realm to kinship. The old ways have served us well, and we will always honour them. However, as the matriarch of Newfoundland and Labrador and a small bit of Ontario, I have concluded that we must adopt kinship government and its principles if we are to continue to prosper. It is the crucial next step on our road to the Empire of Canada. Now, what does this mean for the kingdom? If we take a look at the capital, St. John's, we have a natural harbour. We've opened up a new duchy building. So we have a burial site. We have the military academies, marches, siege works, jousting grounds. How fancy we've gotten now that we are a feudal society. We should also be in a position to actually start upgrading these again once we have them researched. But we're also finally in a position to actually start building new cities and new temples. And I'm going to build a new city in the chiefdom of St. John's. We are, however, now back to autonomous vassals, so we've a long way to go to get back up to absolute crown authority. And for now, I think that's about all we can do. A Liberty faction has disbanded. We're getting our troops out to see what they can see. And we need to try and get more prestige together so that we can go back to war. And here is Zachary, our friend, who we picked up on a raid somewhere down here. He deserves to know the true power of the little fellas. Well, maybe this is the only way we can get rid of the old bat. Eric has heard that somebody at court is not trying to seduce Matriarch Morgan, but to kill her. I'm not too sure where she's after getting the title Matriarch from, if that's because of the change to kinship, but somebody is looking to kill the Matriarch. We should probably try and stop this. I'm going to appoint a food taster to help with the hostile scheme success chance, knocking that down a bit. We're going to put in... We'll put in this mayor. I would have put in the... well, he's our cupbearer, so... We have the King of Hudsonia as our cupbearer. We'll have a random mayor as our food taster. Well, never mind. The murder on you has been abandoned. So the King of Tiaramara has just risen his army. And we have one nearby. Zachary's education has come to an end. He's become a grey eminence. We wait for them to head out to sea, and then we move our army in. Bad timing, my man. Bad timing with that disembarkation penalty. So we'll siege down the capital. We'll probably just actually head up in this direction to Sydney. And we've managed to get ourselves another lifestyle learning perk. We could try and go for celebrity, because that's the one that's going to be generating the most amount of prestige. We don't have any dread. Monthly prestige per powerful vassal on the council. That would be absolutely fantastic. Matriarch Morgan should be preparing for war. Instead, she's heading off on another grand adventure. I've kept saying this is probably the last grand adventure she'll go on, and then she survives for an entire another episode. But there is a grand wedding over in this direction, so we're going to visit here first, and then head up and visit a royal court, another court, a famous battle site, and then down here to Bird to another royal court. That'll keep her occupied for a while. And it's probably a good idea for the Queen to head away, because Ivor's pox has struck the region of Tierramara that we're currently sieging down. It's actually, I think, struck our own territory as well. Hasn't caused any damage as yet, but we can see that our troops are beginning to have things flying around their heads as they're trying to raid down areas. And I'm not too sure what the hell has just happened, but we have gone into a massive prestige deficit. Well, maybe the wedding wasn't the best place to go. Our physician has gotten influenza, and we've gotten influenza. Do no more than is necessary. We feel a bit brighter. So somebody at the wedding won't stop talking. We can gain 150 prestige, and we can lose 202 stress because we're wrathful and compassionate. We'll take that option. We would have a metric ton of prestige now if it wasn't for that minus 500, and I still don't know where the hell that actually came from. And as the wedding finally concludes, we offer our congratulations. We've lost a ton of stress. We've gained more, so now we're into positive prestige, and all we had to do was go to this wedding. Congratulations again. However, we received the devastating news that our lover, Angela, and our court poet has died. One of our chancellors, our councillor, has also died from influenza. I didn't actually check what Angela died from, but we are beginning to see the substantial spreading of a new form of influenza. So this isn't Ivor's pox. There's 22 fatalities so far, and it is a major plague. So we are beginning to see some hefty results. And indeed, it's actually also spread to the wedding that we've attended, and we're going to now bring it down in this direction, most likely. So we're still out at sea, but it does appear as though the worst of the plague is beginning to lift. Poor little John. The poor man, he is near death. Our long-serving court chaplain, he has become incapable. This is a man who has seen the Fogsong faith through many dark days and changes. Now, we don't really have anybody fitting to install as the new court chaplain. So I think what we'll do is put in our grandson, Solomon, who Morgan trained, made him a witch, and he still has a lot of work to do converting some regions that are following the old Fogsong faith. There's still a couple of Ursuline regions as well to deal with. And visiting some regions has given us a martial lifestyle learning perk. I was going to take Serve the Crown to get that control growth, because control is lacking in a lot of regions that are fighting their own wars against each other. However, total war causes belli cost, especially considering how we have just had a ton of prestige vanish on us. And what an absolute turn of events this is. We're actually being raided by Upper Quebec. There's been a massive unification war, effectively. So Upper Quebec is now being ruled by Helmar of House Lachlan. So one of his brothers, there's Sewell, and one of his sons is Zachary, who's in our court. There he is. Our Screecher and friend. So there's been a massive unification war here. Our army is fairly heavily depleted. It's not the 8,000 it was once upon a time. These guys can get 5,300 together, but they're raiding us down. We've managed to put together 6,000 troops. I'm going to put them under Dora, the Hawk of Bonavista, instead of, well, he's an aggressive attacker. Go on. Our grandson, Spymaster, and vassal, High Chief Eric II of Ottawa, will defend his territory. Not very well, however. So we've managed to kill somebody with the first name of Marshall. One of our councillor has died in the battle. We recovered some loot, but it was a hefty defeat because I believe that was our diplomat, or our chancellor. It was actually our marshal. There are so many of them now at this stage, it's getting hard to remember them all. So this is going to create a bit of trouble. They were a solid marshal. Dora the Hawk, who I was thinking of putting in, seems to be the next best for the position amongst our vassals. And that has created some hefty problems in this region because that chiefess has just been succeeded by her stone-mad son. So this would be a fairly important region. Actually, once upon a time, long range, there it is. It still has a big chunk of territory down here. It controlled most of this region, actually, for a while. So there's been a substantial amount of fights and battles and wars amongst House Mackenzie for control of this entire region. And we just keep making things worse by sending members of the family out to die. And in the midst of it all, we have a diplomacy lifestyle perk. We're going to take inspiring rule. That's going to give us prestige per powerful vassal on the council. And that's why we're putting all of these crappy vassals on the council. And so here, unfortunately, is something that we've been expecting for a while. Matriarch Morgan, her health is poor at 86 years of age, even with all of those bonuses. She can't fight time. And because we are now feudal, we don't have the ability to raid anymore, so our prestige, we've gotten a good chunk of it back. We could try and make a push on one of the major kingdoms, but that's going to still leave us well short of the Empire of Canada. So I think all we can kind of start to do at the moment is maybe declare war for this region and start to wrap things up a bit. So these guys won't accept vassalage. Now, when I say wrap things up a bit, basically to make things easier for the next generation. And actually, one of the ways I'm going to do that is to pass limited crown authority. There are rumours. There's always rumours. We're going to shout at somebody. We've actually been having a lot of problems with that person, Essa, who I originally conquered this region for. But it remained in the hands of our grandson, Eric. So now Eric is going to end up controlling the entire region. We've managed to capture the Count's Chancellor and his nephew. We will enforce our demands. Which has now dragged us into a holy war against Duchess Becky. So we'll see if we can get our army up to follow their main army. They're running around in circles. They're making fools of us. I think we're going to put Eric back in charge. He did a good job the last time. Fair play to him. And we're going to hit something. I'm not too sure what. We can bury the hatchet with one of our daughters. Now we've hit something. I think we managed to actually hit the armies, the weakest army first of all, deal some damage to them, and then they brought in the stronger army. So we're at 50% war score. And the chieftain that we've just conquered has started a faction against us. That is a pretty cool coat of arms, I do have to say. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to grant him to our grandson, Eric. And there is still this region here. That is technically under us instead of going to Eric, but we'll leave things as they are for the moment. Well, this isn't great. Here is Cecil, our heir, and I was looking around to see if there was maybe somebody better to change the succession to. Cecil has converted to Gothic, in line with his wife in Maine and their children. God damn it, Cecil. Now here is our granddaughter, Alfreda. So she is the daughter of Lance and Nicole, who fell off a ship trying to save one of our expensive mugs. She's a witch. She's a journaler. She's consecrated blood traveler. She's not actually in our court at the moment. An elusive shadow And from what I can see, she is currently the second most backed member of the family. Well, Bernard has one supporter. Elfrida then is supported by a number of other rulers. I think what we're going to have to do is change our vote to Elfrida. Ottawa is under siege. I was going to start trying to siege down some of their territory, but the problem is that we have... our siege equipment is absolutely useless. Now they've gotten their entire army together in one location. Instead of impressing our vassals, we're going to try and impress the young female local ruler, 21-year-old ruler of Tiaramara. I have more important women to impress. Now our major problem is we're absolutely hemorrhaging cash and we don't really have a way to get it back anymore. We've at least brought that war to an end. Enforced the demands. You know the old saying, you've got to spend money to make money. We're going to try and sponsor a whale hunt and hopefully get some big sums of cash together. And, what exactly is going on here? Do you remember I was saying about House Mackenzie causing problems? Well, they've somehow managed to declare independence. I'm not entirely too sure how that happened. We could try and subjugate the kingdom for 360 prestige. Forced vassalization is 438. And she won't accept vassalization, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to push the demands of our grandson, Solomon's wife. Now, I actually believe I might know what happened. There you go. I think there's some territory down here. I was getting a warning for a while that on the death of... that we might lose some land, so I think that's what's happened. There is so much anarchy, I totally forgot that we sent out some whalers. They have returned with 163, so okay, we made a bit of money. Mistress Bridget has helped us with some peasants. Well, I wish they'd help us with the siege in Ottawa. So Mistress Bridget is a member of Anselm's Squires, and she's an Ursuline, and she's wandering around somewhere. Oh, she's a hook on us now because she excelled at a contract. Now, the worst thing is that prestige isn't massively important to us anymore. Now that Morgan is approaching the end of her life, we do have inspiring rule. We are getting this +1 diplomacy. Would it be worth at this stage, with our finances the way they are, switching to wealth focus? The monthly income would be helpful. And we've gone down avaricious, but something for development. Administrator would probably have absolutely no development stuff whatsoever. Yeah, I think we're gonna switch to the wealth focus. We still actually have to go back here and pick something. We'll go for the befriend scheme. Our armies are appearing down the river. They're going to have that disembarkation penalty, however. So we're going to have to hold up for a moment. It looks like Ottawa is going to be sieged down before we get in there. They're actually beginning to withdraw, which is fantastic. Now we've caught one of their retreating armies. I don't even know who you people are anymore. I actually didn't mean to throw her in jail, but whatever. So we arrived in perfect timing to manage to save Ottawa. Who even is this now? Whoever it is, they've brought up some forces to start sieging down Corner Brook. We are hopefully, with our Holy Order, about to siege down Grand Falls. So instead of bringing up the other armies, hopefully they'll siege this down and then attack. And actually this army is suffering fairly heavy attrition. Robert has invited us to another grand rite. How could we say no? I should have probably said no because we're out of cash. And that boat ride costs like 20 quid. So Grand Falls has fallen. We're at 99%. I don't think that is enough to enforce our demands. It is not. What'll happen first? Will one of these areas fall? Or will our Holy Order get to the guys at Corner Brook? Now to hope in hell, can we justify any level of spending? Even sensible, coherent spending is beyond us at the moment. Corner Brook, or the army sieging down Corner Brook, is trying to run. Do you remember when I spoke about forming the Empire of Canada? Do you remember when I spoke about stabilizing the succession when we had Cecil nominated as the next ruler? Our granddaughter, Alfreda, has died from stress while out gallivanting and adventuring around in the world. And now, our new heir is our 5-year-old great-granddaughter. So this is Robert's daughter. It's Robert's court we're arriving at the moment. He's shy, he's content, he's calm. Shy is not great. Shy is not a great trait to have. I would consider making him our successor otherwise. One tale ends, does another begin? And just like that, Bernard, who's gallivanting somewhere in the world, has become the next in line. He's not a witch. That is a bit of a problem. I'm not too sure where he actually is. He's a commander. I don't think he's our commander, though. He actually is. Before all that, we perform a demonic chant. We can ask our grandson, Robert, to instruct us in the art of commerce, which we usually take. This war we've brought to an end. I'm going to enforce demands. And I won't lie, we were a bit into the war when I thought to myself, wait a minute. The duchy that we're claiming, that's not this duchy. So we've accidentally extended our hold down here as opposed to actually reunifying this region. And amidst all of this chaos, our court chaplain, something's happened to them as well, so they're gone. Actually, I think our court chaplain was Solomon, who is now the High Chief. He's married to the High Chiefess of the region that we just took. So, Bernard is secretly a witch. So we can cast our vote and nominate him as our successor. Matriarch Morgan NaGeira, 90 years of age, returning from the Grand Rite, is now trying to befriend Becky of Labrador and try and get her to join the kingdom that way. 90 years. I think she was 21 when this series started, and if I had pushed more aggressively, we would have conquered all of the United States, never mind Canada. Our 41-year-old physician is propositioning the 90-year-old matriarch. And you know what? She's lost her husband. She's lost 2 lovers. We will keep our physician very close. A shiver of anticipation finds its way up my spine as a knock resounds through the stillness of my chambers. Yeah, well, there you go. And we've just seen the end of another plague. Unfortunately, it's going to be 84 gold, and we're going to have to do it to restore the kingdom. And we're now being seriously hampered by our inability to raid. Morgan, however, after that sensual proposal from her physician, is burying the hatchet with her grandson and heir, Bernard. We'll stop being rivals. It's probably the best for the kingdom. And it looks as though our scheme to befriend Duchess Becky has been a success. What a good day! So we grow closer to forming a friendship and gained 20% or 20 opinion. Now I don't think that's going to be enough to convince her to accept vassalization. It was minus 93. It hasn't improved much more. But what we're going to do for now, instead of focusing any further there, is to again look at the totally and utterly unstable succession. Here is Kira. 23, and that's the advantage over 45-year-old Bernard. And she's unmarried. Our granddaughter, the daughter of our drunken son Lance, and Essa, who has caused tremendous trouble for us, it has to be said. We're going to convert to witchcraft. So Kira has been converted. Her acceptance is wholehearted and hungry. And there are a couple of other interesting figures. Lillian O'Cecil. Cecil O'Cecil, but he's a soft egg. He's a soft-boiled egg. But they are members of a different faith because their father, you absolute fool, converted them. So I think, yeah, really the only kind of immediate option at the moment is Kira. There's a couple of other great-granddaughters, but they are 9 and 6 years of age, so that would cause absolute havoc if they were to succeed. Kira is not great. Content, arrogant, sadistic. Do you know what? That's not as bad. That's not as bad as being lazy. So there's some prestige, and sadistic, and a charismatic negotiator. So we're going to cast our vote. If we take a look at the electors, there's some absolutely insane choices coming in. Why the hell are you supporting Gothic people, you lunatics? So she's in second at the moment, and she is our new player heir. And so finally, an attempt will be made at a breeding campaign. Here is our granddaughter and our grandson. They're cousins. It's fine. It's only a 3.7% chance of children being inbred. Both of them have the Amazonian and the Herculean trait. So this is our court chaplain, our new court chaplain. So their mother is Marie and Jean-Guy. So there is Jean-Guy, and there is his sister Marie. So they're first cousins. It's fine. It's fine. And we've just gotten another update of interest to us. The Queen of Maine has died. Now, what is the new scenario? Okay, House NaGeira is now ruling a second kingdom. A pity about the fathomless lobsterman thing. And the delicate thing. Will not accept an alliance because of our current number of alliances and the fact that his faith differs from ours. But there we go, this guy, Cecil, his father, could have been the ruler of Newfoundland and Labrador. Instead, he gets to see his son become the King of Maine, so it's not all that bad. There's been some mad owl argy-bargy over in Labrador. Cartwright has broken out, and quite sensibly, its ruler will accept vassalization. As for Labrador itself, Mistress Brigitte, who was helping pacify vassals there for a while, is after declaring war to seize Labrador. So it's going to be interesting to see what exactly happens there. And I didn't actually notice this, but the guy in Cartwright who has joined us was a populist leader. So fair play to him. I was thinking about declaring war on Tiramara and seeing what kind of a position that would put us in for southward expansion. Morgan is now 92. Her health is still poor, but we don't have the money. Along comes the Children of the Moving Tide looking for a city and willing to pay us 300 gold. Your request is granted. Tiramara's army is in severe disarray after a number of internal battles. Now, our major problem is that if we seize this region and Morgan dies quickly, we would probably see somebody like Bernard become the king. So we wouldn't see the Holy Site or the Holy Order disappear. I think we're going to declare war to subjugate the kingdom. Our granddaughter Morgan NaGeira is one of the only people that we have who knows how to work military engines. We'll put her in charge of the siege. And we're actually seeing the main Tiramara army arrive just to the north of our position. We have the Holy Order and one of our other units here, so we might be able to deal them a hefty blow. They're actually marching out to meet us. Oh my god, there's so many schemes in this damn court. Everyone wants this lad killed. And it's mostly our knights that are actually involved in the whole affair. We have the ability, I'm half thinking of bringing this legend to an end, because it's costing a lot of money and it's not expanding very far. Court Poet wants more money. I'd say now, yeah, Tinder. That's all that's on the Queen's mind. So we've taken control of this region. We can move the army in, and we should now be able to start sieging down a few more areas as we slowly push towards Navon. Might have been a better idea to have actually started from up here. Well, I think it'd be the same difference to march down. We could, of course, just try to naval invade, but I've started from our holdings here and marched in. And it's taking a good chunk of time. These guys have the siege weapons, and it's taking a good chunk of time to get through this fort, whereas these guys don't, and they'll probably actually defeat them. Will we be very lucky? I think defeating the armies is going to deal more damage than actually taking forts and bases and things like this. And look at this, in the midst of our great victory, the King of Hudsonia, our cupbearer, who's also in poor health. Boiling anger. How dare you, good sir, how dare you? So that did absolutely nothing for our war score. It's fine. Now the worry is that they're going to start heading up in this direction, or even for Newfoundland. So unfortunately, at great expense in terms of manpower and money, we're mounting an invasion as we receive the news that Morgan is 1 year away from death. Now, we've managed to take a number of prisoners. What we're going to do is keep this army here for a moment. I think actually we will start ransoming out whoever we can. We'll ransom you for 50. We'll get a tenner. Fergus, you are stone useless. Can we get his conversion? And a weak hook can get the two of them. And Maliki. Maliki won't leave. Maliki won't give me a hook. So Maliki's staying there. Maliki's been there for years at this stage. 5 years, yeah. Now we've gotten some money together from occupying this region. I was going to bring the war to an end. I don't know, will it be invalidated anyway? On the death of Morgan? I was going to White Peace. But if we can actually keep the whole thing going until NaGeira comes to power. I don't know if we have the money though. Just barely. I don't know where the hell one of my great-granddaughters got 70 quid from, but I won't say no. Because we're probably going to have to mount another naval invasion, which is going to eat into our war chest. Another one of our vassals arrives to give us some money. I think they all know. I think they know. Oh, she came to give us prestige. I needed prestige a couple of years ago. Not now. I've just gotten a pop-up that we can vassalize Chieftain Marmaduke, boys oh boys, of Grand Falls. He's frail. His health is poor. But he will, thankfully, accept vassalization. And so at least we'll have Newfoundland reunified. Labrador, I think, is holding out. That's a bad mistake. Right. There's the expense of getting these guys onto the island. Now there's the expense of getting them off. I'm going to disband them. I'm going to disband them and I'm going to re-raise them over here. I don't think we actually have a place that we can re-raise them at the moment. I might leave. I don't want to leave them there on their own. Says he, then leaving them there on their own anyway. Here is our army. I'm not too sure why. Our granddaughter is no longer in command. People are getting old and changing allegiances very quickly, so I'm not too sure what is and isn't going on. These guys are suffering fairly high attrition, so I'm actually going to have to pull them back. And one of the last things that the matriarch will do during her lifetime is make her 13-year-old great-granddaughter lustful. Oh no, what is going on here? Oh no, Claude, you absolute depraved, traitless lunatic. There can no longer be any doubt. Claude, my own grandson, wants to be more than family. This would be some roller coaster ride for Morgan Le Fay the Restorer to go out on. But no, because you're useless. And I've actually forgotten who your other useless child is. I'll have to go and check because they don't actually show up. Somebody was convinced that Claude and his aunt's child. Let's see if we can find them. So if I am correct, there we go. Incestuous. Adelaide was murdered. Here's her 3 children. Dark hair, dark hair, dark hair. Oh, red-haired, like the NaGeira family. How very interesting. So no, Claude, no, you utter useless fool. Claude, why didn't you bring me money like the rest of the family? I'm never entirely sure what it is that causes wars to be inherited sometimes and not otherwise, so I'm not too sure whether our granddaughter will actually inherit this war or not. It's entirely possible that she won't. Matriarch Morgan of Newfoundland and Labrador's spirit has flown to the other world at 94 years of age. She died of old age. Known to be a respected scholar, she spent most of her days studying in her library with her bevy of lovers. Matriarch Kira ascends to the throne. Kira, you have a very flushed face. Kira, I haven't seen a reddened face like that since that of your alcoholic father. Kira. A formidable duelist, many expect her to excel in tournaments and personal combat alike. 71 years as ruler. That is absolutely incredible. 94, I don't think I've seen anybody live to that age before. And because of that, I did not move as forcefully and as aggressively as I should have in conquering Canada. 9 activities. 3 hosted only. Fought in 29 wars. And was going down the stewardship lifestyle. Exalted amongst men. We had very low prestige and we had very low... religion was through the roof. And cultural head of Newfie. We will continue as Kira. Show titles, lost 8. So I don't think she even has St. John's anymore. The High Chiefdom of Avalon has actually gone to Bernard. That's really weird, because as far as I know, Kira has inherited... Oh no. Placentia has gone to Bernard as well. So I wonder what the hell Kira is actually... I wonder where the hell the new capital is. We will continue. So yeah, that war has been invalidated. Like I said, I'm never too sure what it is that sometimes leads to the invalidation of a war and other times doesn't. So all we can do is disband the armies. We've lost the Holy Order. We've lost the patronage of the Holy Order, unfortunately. So I think Bernard is the patron now. We can still summon them at no cost, which is grand. So no, we have kept St. John's, and that is the only thing that Kira has kept. Kira is the ruler of St. John's and nothing else. First, we need to appoint a council. Oh, so many unhappy faces. This is easy enough. There, I think, is our Chancellor, and there is our Steward. There is our Marshal, and it looks like Solomon's wife is going to become our Spy Master, even though she hates us. That's not so bad now. We're told that Kira is a diplomat, and again, just like her grandmother, we're going to have to go down the diplomacy route and try and hold the Empire together. We'll go for the Majesty focus. To start with, we've gone down family hierarchy. We have befriend. So maybe that's not actually terrible, because we don't have a lot of land, so possibly we could try and, even though our diplomacy is not great, try and get some people to like us, but probably defensive pacts is the one that we'd want to go for. And another reason diplomacy is going to be very important is because we need alliances, and at the moment there is not a lot on offer on the table. Cecil, the King of Maine, our cousin. I'm not too sure how distant he is, but that's the best alliance that's on offer at the moment with his 2,200 troops. The next best alliance, there's a couple of roving bands. The next best alliance is the granddaughter of the ruler of Badgerland with 2,000, I think it's 400 troops. So alliance material is not great at the moment. There indeed is that drunkard trait. If we were to form that alliance with Badgerland, we'd have to try and make sure that there is basically enough people in the family to potentially succeed. I have no idea who we would start looking at as the next potential successor. We do have some much younger members of the family coming through, so hopefully Kira will be able to keep her drinking under control long enough for somebody like Agnes or Sybil to come of age. Neither of them have interesting traits, however. So I think our first major task is going to be trying to befriend our half-brother, Bernard. I didn't realize he was our half-brother. I thought he was maybe our uncle. This is a very strange family. So yeah, so there's his father and our father, Lance. We will start that scheme. Because I think he has... I was going to say he has one of the larger armies. He doesn't. But he's probably one of the larger armies within the family, so keeping him under control and not getting any ideas. He got a huge amount of land. Robert would be the only one close to him in terms of actual land, but the numbers of troops are non-existent. I think it's pretty much the Ursuline rulers that have the substantial forces under their command. So long range would be another one. Punis, the poor man, he seems to like us, so... And he's stone mad. And of course, the other mad state of affairs is that Cecil has now inherited this island here, which means it will go to his eldest son, the King of Maine, on Cecil's death. He won't... there's a slight chance that he'll accept conversion. Could we try and pull off that alliance with our cousin? Maybe try and convince him to convert? That's possibly something Kira's going to have to look at on the next episode. An episode that I genuinely did not think was going to happen. But yeah, we're going to have at least one more push at getting everything stabilized. If I'd realized that I was going to have almost 20 years as Morgan, I could have probably got the conquest of Canada done, but I was utterly shocked at her longevity. So we're going to have to try and stabilize everything, figure out who's in the court, who isn't in the court. I need to get some items fixed. There's very low durability, and we do not have the ability to go on raids to repair them, so we are in a few issues that way. Maybe not converting to feudalism as quickly, making sure that I'd gotten some money together. I had close to $1,000, if not over $1,000. I thought I was swimming in cash, but we are a bit cash short at the moment. Kira has a tough task ahead of her to stabilize the kingdom after the lengthy rule of Morgan the Restorer. But can Kira get it together, keep the kingdom together, and push on towards Detroit? Something we've been dreaming about for many, many episodes. Thank you for joining me on this one, and I hope you will join me on the next one, because we'll at least be having a few drinks.